What if I told you that you can eat nothing but potatoes, including sweet potatoes, for 2 weeks and it will completely change your relationship with food? You'd probably think I was a bit mad. Fair enough. But that is exactly what this magician did for 2 weeks and wrote a book about it. And then this filmmaker copied him after he had a heart attack. And this country star lost over £100 whilst eating French fries. One's in their 40s, one's in their 50s, one's in their 70s, and they're all dads. So if you're a dad over 40 watching this and you need to lose a bit of weight, this is for you. Because they all went about it different ways. And you don't even have to eat potatoes to get there. But what you do have to realize is that our palates have been polluted. And this is the one thing that the fitness industry, the nutrition experts don't cover. So I'm going to take you through how each of these fellas did it, their approach, the psychology behind it, why it works differently after 40, and the 4 levers that you can pull without even having to eat potatoes. Now, I've been doing this for 11 years. I focus purely on helping dads lose fat. That's all I do. But the first step is you must get clarity. So take the audit. Take this fat loss scorecard. It takes a couple of minutes to do. You'll get instant clarity. Link is below, and you get an email with your scorecard and the results. Let's get back to the magician, Penn Jillette. He was over 300 pounds, high blood pressure. He started with 2 weeks of eating nothing but plain potatoes. Not for nutrition. His coach designed it as a hard reset. And Penn's own framing was he needed to prove that food was not the boss of him. Kevin Smith, the filmmaker, also a comedian, he had a widowmaker heart attack at 47. And he used the same potato reset, same as Penn, to start losing 50 plus pounds. And his bigger discovery was food had been his comfort, his reward, his hobby. And the reset forced him to see that clearly for the first time. Jelly Roll, the country star, he went the opposite direction. So he didn't do an extreme reset. But I remember seeing him on Joe Rogan. He said the biggest hack for his weight loss was making his own fries at home instead of going to the drive-thru. And he kept the food he loved, but he changed his relationship to how he got it. He added friction. So one went extreme, one had a health scare, and the other did the opposite of the extreme. He had a balanced approach. But all three changed their relationship first, and then the weight followed. Now, here's the real mechanism. It's a pattern interrupt. It's not a diet. The potato was a tool. It was not a food plan. 2 weeks of one bland food breaks that loop between eating and entertainment. And when the food stops being exciting, you finally meet the actual physical hunger. And most fellas haven't felt this for decades. There's also a sensory specific satiety. So your appetite is partly driven by variety. But eat the same food meal after meal, and your drive to eat goes down. It drops because you don't need willpower for this. It's the buffet effect, but in reverse. There's also a taste recalibration as well. So after 2 weeks of bland food, an apple is going to taste incredible. And the hyper-processed foods that drag your baseline up for 40 years are then dragged back down. So it's a bit like someone has an addiction to drugs. You want a bigger hit, but you're pulling that back down. And then there's the agency shift. So the deepest effect is identity, because once you've gone 2 weeks without negotiating with food, you have hard proof. Yeah, you have evidence. You run the kitchen doesn't run you. And this is why turning 40 changes a lot for most of us. You've got 40 years plus of bad habits. And I say bad because this generally is extreme. And I find a lot of the type A fellas I work with, they are hardworking, but they're impatient. They don't like grey. They like black and white. I need to know clearly what I should and shouldn't eat. And having that clarity means that you can see, right, this is what I've been putting in my body. This is why I have brain fog. This is why I am very impulsive in my nature. And therefore, I don't want to go down that road anymore. So every stress snack you've been doing for the last 20 plus years that you've been an adult is now wired into your psyche. So you're basically hardwired that way now, and you're having to reprogram yourself. And your margin of error shrinks as well because your recovery gets slower as you get older. Testosterone goes down. Muscle is easier to lose. And the metabolism doesn't, well, it slows a little bit, but a lot of that is lifestyle. Now, stress load peaks as well because when you're younger, all you care about is going out and meeting a bird and trying to make money. But now it's mortgage, it's bills, it's getting woken up in the middle of the night with the kids. It's worrying if your kids are older, worrying about them when they're going out. Are they making friends? Are they getting bullied in school? Are they being a bully? So all of this adds ambient stress to your life. The cortisol goes up. So food is the cheapest, fastest, most socially acceptable drug in the house. But the hard truth is, Kevin Smith, that filmmaker, he didn't change his relationship with the food at 37, right? When it was optional. He changed it at 47 when the cardiologist said it's mandatory, otherwise you're going to die. So don't wait for your widowmaker to make this decision, because you might not survive it and then you won't be able to make the decision. And why being a dad makes this so much harder is that 9 p.m. window. So the kids go down and you finally get them to sleep. The dishes are done. You got the first quiet moment of the day, and then it's just you and the couch and the pantry. And that snack isn't hunger. That snack you're eating is your reward for the day. And it's the only reward to hand. There's also that leftover tax that we don't include. The extra chicken nuggets, the crust of the pizza, the cold chips or fries, as they say in America. And you, without realizing it, are eating a phantom fourth meal of the day, those leftovers. Because instead of throwing it in the bin, you're like, well, I don't want to waste food. I don't like waste. And you stick it down your gob. Then there's the convenience creep. You got the pickups when taking your kids to practice. You've got the late night meetings. You've got no plan to your day, especially when you've got young kids and things feel a bit scattered, or you're working from home. Then the drive-through isn't a treat anymore. It's your infrastructure. It's something that is just part of your day. And Jelly Roll, the country star, he made fries his ritual for making. So basically, instead of having to go to the drive-through, going to the drive-through, he had to physically make the fries. Right? And that attacks that convenience. It adds friction. Also, as a dad, food is the language of love with the family. It's something you do together, and you should be doing together. So you got pizza nights, you got celebration dinners, ice cream after the game. And these are all good things, but well, it's good until it becomes the only way that the family marks anything. Now, often we there's a wedding, there's a funeral, there's a christening, there's bar mitzvah. It's all celebrated with food, all commiserated. But where this trap leads is the diet rebound spiral. So the hedonic treadmill. This is when you have hyperpalatable food that gives you stimulation, but these scientists, these food engineers, realize that to keep you hooked, they gotta keep increasing that bliss point. More sugar, more salt, more fat. And then normal food tastes like cardboard. So you escalate. And also, your coping narrows as well. So every stressful day is handled with food. It's not handled with a walk, for example, or a workout, or a conversation. Because food quietly becomes your tool for coping. And the diet rebound spiral is you restrict hard, you white knuckle it, you break it, you binge, and you repeat. And then each lap teaches your brain that dieting equals suffering, which makes the next attempt even harder. And none of this shows up as one bad day. It shows up as 10 pounds a decade and a shrinking of your confidence and expanding of your waistline. Until something like Kevin Smith's thing happens to you and forces that conversation if you survive it. Why just eat in moderation doesn't work? I mean, you're moderating against a polluted palate. By palate, I mean your taste buds. They've engineered food that's designed to beat your restraint. And therefore, a little bit, in quotes, of something tasty is a losing game because you're fighting against teams of engineers and using AI research to find out how they can keep people addicted. So you've got abstainers and moderators. Now, Jillette Penn's insight was that for some men, something extreme is easier than something moderate because it removes that grey area. And as mentioned, it's either black or white for most fellas I work with, those type A personalities. They're either 100% in or 100% out. And you've got to be that decisive to be successful in life. You have to be ruthless with the decisions you make. But the hard truth is, every failed moderation isn't a character flaw. It just didn't suit your type A personality. But is the potato diet right for you? Here's 2 self-checks you can do. Self-check number 1, hunger versus urge. So here's the thought experiment. I want you to answer these questions out loud. I'm going to pause after each one and you say it back to me if you like, or say it in your head. Right now, question 1, would you eat a plain boiled potato? If yes, that's hunger. If you want anything but that, that's an urge. Question number 2 is your location check. Real hunger lives in your stomach. Urges live in your mouth. So where's yours right now? And the third and final question is a trigger check. When did you last eat because of a clock, a screen, or a mood? So for example, a clock, oh, it's lunchtime, I should eat. Or a screen, oh, Game of Thrones is on, because we just started watching that, so I should eat. Or a mood, oh, I'm feeling fed up, so I should eat. And if you're honest, for most people, the answer is today. Self-check number 2, is your relationship with food broken? So score these, right? If you answer yes to 2 or more, then food is running you. Sign number 1, you eat past full on autopilot and only notice when a bag or plate is empty. Sign number 2, food is your answer to stress, boredom, celebration, and sadness. 4 different problems, but with one solution. Sign number 3, you eat differently alone than in front of your family. And finally, sign number 4, you thought of 2 weeks of boring food feels less like hard and more like impossible. I wrote that badly. Anyway, if you said yes to 2 or more of those 3, then keep watching because this is right for you. And the next 4 levers are going to sort you out. Now, lever number 1. The boring food reset, but done sanely. So, steal the psychology, not the protocol. You don't need 14 days of plain potatoes. You need a defined stretch where food goes boring on purpose. So that means simple, repeatable meals you don't have to think about. For me, when I was losing weight, it was meat and potatoes. Either salmon that I just stick in the oven, or beef mince that I stick in the frying pan, and then stick the potatoes in the air fryer. Put those 2 together, eat that. That's all I would eat. Same meal every day. You could do rice instead. Now, generally speaking, potatoes for cutting, rice for bulking. And most people watching this, including yourself, I assume, are not looking to put on weight. Anyway, number 2, the same version is 7 to 14 days of the same 2 to 3 basic meals, real protein, real potatoes or rice, vegetables, blandish food that's filling but requires 0 decisions. The goal is to reset your taste baseline and your food reward loop. This is not about rapid weight loss. That's a recipe for disaster. This is about resetting your palate. And expect withdrawal, because days 2 to 4 feel a bit grey, feel a bit irritable. And that's the reward loop breaking. As you build momentum after the first week, the food noise is then going to drop noticeably. And Jillette Penn did his extreme diet with medical oversight, by the way. So if you've got health conditions and you take medication, then obviously talk to your doctor about any restricted diet. But this is a psychological tool, this mono diet. It's not a medical treatment. The second lever is there's no grey zone. Bright lines, black on one side, white on the other. That beats negotiation. So, for example, you say to yourself, I don't eat after 8:30 p.m. I don't eat in the car. I don't eat off the kids' plates. There's no daily debate. That is a black and white. This is something I do not do. And pick one. You don't have to do all of those that I just mentioned. The mistake is stacking 5 rules, right, and then breaking all of them by Thursday. One line, held for a month, rebuilds that self-trust. And then finally, the identity payoff. I don't beats I can't. So I can't is deprivation. I don't is who I am. The third lever, the jelly roll rule, if you will, DIY. Nothing is banned, but you make it yourself. So if you want French fries, do it yourself. Cut the potatoes, use the air fryer, use the oven. But every bite that you have is then guilt-free. Friction is the mechanism. So 30 minutes to prep the 30 minutes to prep is going to filter out those impulses. Because if you still want the food after spending 30 minutes prepping it, then you really wanted it. But most of the time, the urges die in that prep time. Control without restrictions. So you are actually choosing the oil, the salt, the portions. And that's the benefit of being a dad. Because you got kids cutting the potatoes as well, helping with the food prep. And then you got your kids watching you doing this together, in noticing what food actually looks like and how it's prepared. That's 10 times better than them watching you devour a bag of chips or French fries in the front seat of the car. And it matters psychologically because banning foods breeds that rebellion and those binges. Ritual and ownership keep the foods you love, but on your terms. And therefore, that's a relationship change. It's not a restriction. And finally, the fourth lever, eat to fuel, not to cope. So food has two jobs right now. It's fueling you and it's helping you cope. You can't just delete the coping job. You have to replace it with something else. So the 9 p.m. replacement, the pantry raid is a decompression ritual, right? So we know this. So we have to build a new one. So maybe it's a 10-minute walk outside. And what I like to do is listen to music or podcast, something that makes me feel good. It helps me to learn something. And a very brisk walk. And I also like my wife will come with me sometimes, but generally not because you have to keep an eye on the kids because they're asleep upstairs. Or you do a shower, you have a bath. Now, a lot of fellas are like, I do ice baths. No, nice warm bath. Dare I say hot, not too hot. Magnesium or Epsom salts in the bath. Learn to relax, have a ritual. Or it could be doing 20 push-ups. Right, but you're not going to do that. No one does. Or it might be reading a chapter of a book if you still read books. If you do, God bless you. But it's the same slot, same reward, different tool. And also, name the moment. Say to yourself, I'm not hungry. I'm stressed. And say it out loud. And then that breaks the autopilot even more. More than any meal's going to do. Because Kevin Smith's whole transformation started with exactly that kind of honesty. And set a realistic bar as well, because you won't catch it every night. Catch it 3 nights out of 7, and you've changed the trajectory. Momentum in weeks and transformation in months. I say this almost every talk, but it's important to take into consideration what is at stake here. Your kids are learning from you. Kids will be what they see. And they see your relationship with food. They don't hear about your nutrition opinions. They watch what a bad day makes you do. You want presence, not just a lifespan. So you want the energy to wrestle at 7 p.m. Even though my wife doesn't like me doing that because then they get too riled up before bed. You want to be able to coach the football team. You want to be able to carry them upstairs and carry your wife upstairs. But you want energy late at night, all day. And that's what that late night 9 p.m. pantry raid is robbing you of. And Kevin Smith's real motivation wasn't a number on a scale. It was staying alive for his daughter. And you don't need a heart attack to have the same reason. So here's a recap. Penn proved that food isn't the boss. Kevin Smith proved that it's never too late. But don't wait for a heart attack. Jelly Roll proved that you don't have to ban what you love. All three changed the relationship first, and then the body followed. So in the next 72 hours, the next 3 days, run the potato test on every snack. Is it hunger or is it an urge? Could I eat plain potato right now? If the answer is no, I couldn't, it's an urge. You're not really hungry. And pick one bright line, one black or white statement. I don't eat in the car. I don't eat after 8:30 p.m. I don't eat the kids' leftovers. And stick to that. Write it down. And finally, day 3, plan one make it yourself version of food that you normally buy. So maybe that's burgers. Maybe that's chips or French fries. And what you can do right now is watch this video here. Why fat loss at week 4 causes most people to quit. Featuring James Gordon, the annoying fella from the Late Late Show. You might like him, but I don't. And John Krasinski, Jim from The Office.